Okay, this is the Credit Karma app, and you are looking at my credit score. These teardowns just seem to get more and more personal, don't they? So we're going to talk about three things today. One is a small thing. One is a pet peeve of mine about Credit Karma, not random. And then one is a macro worry and concern about Credit Karma. Okay, here we go. The first thing is the upper right, personalize. So I think this kind of represents two things. First is I could imagine in user testing or user reviews, user surveys, they say, I'd really just like the Credit Karma app to be more personalized to me. And then the product team goes and builds something that says personalize. I hope that's not what happened, but that's kind of how it feels. Because the idea of personalization is not like inherently valuable. It's not like I wake up in the morning being like, I would like to personalize my Credit Karma app. Doubtful that you do that. I definitely don't do that. And so that is the second thing, which is one of the problems with features in general, is that it could be very beneficial after I do it. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I'm so happy I personalized the Credit Karma dashboard app. But before I do it, it's not clear that that is a benefit that I should do today or that I should care about at all. So very funny to lead with this thing that has no inherent or obvious value to people, except if you put in a lot of work, and only then in hindsight would you realize that value. So we've talked about it too much. Let's click. See what's going on. Okay, so it looks like I've got three ways to personalize. Borrowing power, car value, Credit Karma money, all these things are like nice names, but like not clear exactly what it's gonna get me. If I were redesigning this, I would probably think about doing each feature and figuring out how to promote that feature. So you could ask me on the homepage, do you have a car? Yes, no. And I would say very easily, because it's like interesting to answer that yes. And then, even to get my further attention, you can say, can you guess what the car value is? Be within 10, or $100 and you'll win something. Now I'm even more interested, right? And now I'm excited to know what my car value is. You're doing a better job promoting the actual concrete value of the feature. Right now, if I were to, let's try this. So estimated car value, save. Okay, we personalize and I get an activate. So that's still a lot of work. Activate's a nice word. I would probably they should just put this on the app homepage in the beginning. Anywho, so we will continue on to the pet peeve, which will be short, but very painful to me, which is brand guidelines. So this continue button, man, we're looking at you, continue button. It's not even a button, it's a link. I'm imagining, and I may be wrong, but that the brand guidelines folks won. There was an argument between the people who just spend months building this net worth feature, and they want to finally promote it to people. And the brand guidelines people are like, sure, you get a small link that says continue. That implies do this never, do this later. And it's not that interesting. It's not that important. So obviously there's trade-off costs. The app has to look similar, consistent, but it feels funny to have this, weirdly padded floating continue button for what seemingly could be a very interesting feature. I'm just click it right now, see what happens. Okay, so I've unlocked it. Very exciting. By the way, this is not my main bank. This is like my dad's bank. So it feels like there's still some work product team to do to figure out exactly where my net worth would be. So, but it does seem like this is a full feature that just got this brand guidelines. It just got swapped by the brand guidelines. Okay, next thing. This is more my macro concern here. This is all the bottom. This is what we're working with. What are all these things? These are all credit card advertisements. Each one of these cards is trying to sell me a credit card or a loan. Credit Karma, come on. It's like if you asked your friend for recommendations and they only said things that were in their best interest. Like, would you trust this friend? No, you would not. This is just not trust inducing. And so if you want to sell me credit cards, we have to build your trust. There's one powerful story that Cialdini mentions in Influence, which I like to refer to on trust building. He mentions this waiter who's like a really good waiter, gets so many tips, and Cialdini follows him around and realizes that this dude, Bob, goes up to people, and the first person in the group orders something, and he says, no, not good today. I recommend something else. And he recommends something, but instead of it being a higher price than that, it's a lower price. And so the whole group hears him recommend a lower priced menu item to the person. And now, all of a sudden, they're like, I would trust this man with my life, right? Or at least my food order. So he can now go and recommend higher priced wines, more desserts, and he has their trust. And I think that's really what Credit Karma is missing here, is the signaling that you have my best interest in heart. And so, instead of telling me in the very beginning or the end here to consolidate my debt. Like, I pay my credit card every month here. You should instead say something like, we've looked at you, Kristen, and don't get a loan. We don't recommend a loan. We don't recommend consolidating your debt. What we do recommend is a credit card. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, they don't recommend this, but they do recommend this. I'll consider it. At this point, they don't really have kind of that weird friend that would recommend something only in their best interest, and we don't trust that friend. So that was my small pet peeve and macro ideation with Credit Karma. Okay, I went for a run and I had an epiphany. I think what is happening with this personalized idea is that the Credit Karma team is solving for the power user. It's a classic mistake that there are two types of users once an app is successful: the one who uses a lot and the one who almost never uses it or just started using it. And product teams tend to get more input from the power user because by definition, they're a power user and want to engage. So what I could imagine, and this is me philosophizing, is that the person who they're building Personalized for already has those 3 boxes checked. They already have the car thing, they already have the Credit Karma money, they already have the borrower thing, and they just want to move boxes around on their dashboard. And that makes a lot of sense. You probably have a small percentage of power users who yell at you, build them a feature where they can move boxes around. Sure. Advanced users, filtering, great. The problem is that when it gets in the way of a novice user or somebody who doesn't use the app that much, and this is what triggered me to think about Personalized, is that when I opened up the app this morning, this is the pop-up that they gave me, which is Personalized Now. By the way, really hard question, right? I came to see my credit score. Now I'm faced with this. It seems like a binary decision. If I X out, will I ever get to Personalized? But if I click Personalize, then I don't get to see my credit score, which is what I came for. So one, poor decision making here to put it in the face of a new user who has nothing to personalize. And I'm really coming for my credit score. And so I feel relieved that we got to the bottom of this personalized feature. But another insight is that when you're solving or building new features, if they're for your power users, keep them out of the way of the new users. So there we go.